You always want to understand who the audience is. That's how you find the people. That's how you get traffic, right? You're not creating traffic. Traffic's already there. You're just finding the people where they are on the internet. You need to understand who they are. First step in doing this, right? We're getting paid on a sale, right? If you're getting paid by a lead, it's very simple, right? But they're likely doing that with a lot of other companies in the marketplace. So you don't have as much of an edge versus if you're somebody that's willing to take some risk, right? You have 10 companies that have the cost per sale offer like you do, right? But they're all buying media by saying, okay, if you're getting $100 CPA, $100 cost per acquisition for a new customer, right? You may want to go out and if you're working on 30% margins, you might go out and pay $70 for every sale, right? Or whether you're buying the media yourself or you're giving it to an affiliate partner. It's not that exciting because it's harder to generate a sale. You're generating a click, you're getting somebody to sign up for something, but you have zero control of converting that lead into a customer. You're relying on the end partner. There's more risk for you because you're spending money as a lead gen company, but you don't know what you're getting back in return. So the idea here is if you can figure out what you're actually going to be making on a revenue per lead, then what happens is you can now start to get into buying traffic and paying people on that first sign up, right? Without the sale happening. And that's where people can send a lot of volume because the media buyers, the affiliates will generate a lead and in real time, they'll be told, yes, they're getting paid for that lead or no, they're not getting paid for that lead. When you're getting paid on a cost per sale, depending on when that sale happens, right? In a scenario like the home security company situation, they generate a lead, they have to get the user on the phone, and then they schedule a meeting at their house. A representative goes to that house, sits down with the homeowner, and then sells them to get them to install that home security system into their home, right? So you could see that it takes days, could take weeks for that sale to actually happen, right? So for someone like me who's out there buying traffic, I'm paying in real time on that traffic. I need to know, what am I making, right? Or at least understand what I'm projecting to make and know that it's going to take that much time to figure it out and then cap how much I'm willing to spend, right? But so the way around this is you have to understand what your revenue per lead value is. And you have to do that by looking at what are you currently doing with that partner, right? So if you're out there and you go and you're starting to generate some leads and you start off on a cost per sale or, you could be buying, sending some emails to your internal database, or you take a little test budget and you start testing it with a mailer, right? And you ask somebody to mail this and you'll pay them on a CPM just to see what happens, right? Well, you have to figure out the following. One, you need to determine how many leads, how many sales, and you're going to get what the CPA is, right? You need to know all those three things, right? The advertiser has to be transparent with you. The advertiser has to let you know what happens when you generate those leads. They have to open up their back end and tell you, yes, we converted this many leads out of how many leads you generated, how many sales you got. And you'll know that because you're getting paid on a cost per sale, right? So that's really important. There are times where if you're generating leads, they may not show you on the back end how many sales come from those leads. You want that. If you're getting paid by lead from an advertiser, you still want to understand what the conversion rate is on the back end, because that will help you understand what the value is to the advertiser. Okay. Once you understand a few numbers, and then you can back it out to see if you're getting paid fairly in the market, or maybe you're getting underpaid, or maybe you deserve more than what you're currently getting paid, even if it's what they're paying everybody else in the market. The formula here to figure out the total sales is you just take your leads and you multiply that by your sales conversion, right? So earlier we said 100,000 leads, 3,000 leads, 3,000 sales based on that 3% conversion. Total sales times your CPA is what you use to get the gross revenue that you're getting paid, right? So if you got 3,000 sales and they were paying you $1, just for easy numbers, on the CPA, then you'd make $3,000 in revenue. And then the way that you figure out what the revenue per lead is you take the total revenue, divide that by the leads, and that gives you your revenue per lead, okay? So let's do it off of the $100 CPA, and let's figure out what the revenue per lead is. So how are we going to do that? We have to test. Listen, everything you do online, you need to test. You have to test, or you don't know, right? You can guess, you can try to project, but if you're a new business that has no data, then you have to test. Maybe you've been in business for a while, so you know what to expect, so you can use some type of numbers to project and take a guess, right? But you're still gonna have to test, and you're gonna have to test in multiple places because every media placement has a different value. But so, bottom line is, we're gonna have to generate a lead. We're gonna have to track that process till the end to see if there are any sales generated. And then we need to figure out what it backs out to for revenue per lead. So we need to know all of our numbers. So here's an example of us doing this, okay? So let's say that we generate 1,000 leads, okay, on this $100 CPA offer, right? Let's say this $100 CPA offer is somebody that is going to install window shades or do a home improvement in their kitchen. Let's say that, right? So we're looking for people that are gonna wanna renovate their kitchen, right? And for every person that starts to work with that company and decides to renovate, then they're gonna pay us $100 cost per acquisition, right? So we go out and we generate 1,000 people that raise their hand saying we're interested in renovating their kitchen, okay? And we now convert 3% of those leads into a sale, right? So we needed to know how many leads and what the sales conversion rate is. So based on that, 1,000 leads, we're gonna get 30 sales, right? So right here, you see it. It's right here in front of you, right? So now, how do we figure out what the gross revenue is? We take our 30 sales and we multiply it by the CPA, which is the $100 CPA. So 30 times 100 is what? $3,000, right? So we have $3,000 in total gross revenue. So now we need to figure out what is the revenue per lead. And we said to do that, we need to know how many leads and what the gross revenue is. So we take that $3,000, we divide it by the 1,000 leads, and that tells us that we're making $3 revenue per lead. So we're making $3 for every lead that we're generating. Now, we're only converting 3% of these leads into sales, right? So we have 30 sales, but what we want to do is we want to back it out into all of the leads that we generated because we're paying to generate every lead. They don't just say to you, you only sold 30 of the 1,000 leads, the 1,000 leads, well, then only pay for 30. That's not how it works, right? You're taking risk. You're out there, you're buying leads. And then you're saying, I'm going to convert those leads into customers, right? Either you're going to do it internally on your end or the partner's going to do it, right? So in a scenario like the person that's going to renovate their kitchen, right? What's the sales process, right? If we generate a lead, we're sending that lead in real time to the partner. What are they doing? Are they calling the customer, the potential customer? Are they sending emails to the customer and hoping that the customer clicks on that email, goes somewhere? Are they buying it right there online? Or are we trying to get the user to go somewhere and then call into an inbound call center. There's a lot of different ways that these guys do that, right? And there's a lot of different ways you can get paid for the lead in the process, right? Every step in a process of a lead gen arbitrage, you can get paid. You can get paid from the impression to the click to the generating the lead to the phone call, the inbound call, the duration of the call, right? And the sale, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. If you're doing it where you could generate a lead, you can then trigger a text message that goes to the consumer. The consumer gets a text message, clicks to dial inbound to the advertiser's call center, the kitchen renovation company's call center. They could pay you on that click of the text message. There's a lot of different models, right? But we're getting paid on the sale, which is the end game. So we're arbitraging this. So what do we need to do now? Next step. Step one was we just figured out what the revenue per lead was. Step two, we want to know what kind of margins do we want to work on, right? So let's say that we want to work at 30% margins, right? So what that means is, what are you making after you generate the lead and what you're getting paid for the lead, right? So we need to figure out on $3, what is it that we need to actually pay out? What's our allowable? That's going to allow us to get to that step. But so there's a lot of factors that determine what kind of margin you want to work on. And one of the factors is it's about the volume, right? If you're generating low volume, then yeah, you're going to want to then generate a higher gross margin. But if you're going out to the market and you're generating thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, you can work on less margin because the volume's there, right? And you'll still be able to make a ton of money. It's like, I know companies that are out in the market today, and some of them, these huge companies, they have tons of employees. They'll do $100 million in revenue in 1 year, and they'll work on 10% margins, and they'll make $10 million, right? Versus a real small boutique agency business that's generating $6 million in top line revenue, but they work on 30% margins, right? And you can see the difference there, right? On 30% margins, what is that? $2 million, right? Versus the 100 million is working at 10% and makes 10 million, right? So they're making more money than the small business that's doing the 30% margin because they have more volume, right? So you can work on lower margin if you can generate the volume. And you also want to be able to afford more money to generate that volume, which we're going to get into right now, right? Because our goal is 30%, but step 3 is we need to figure out what is the allowable. What can we pay on a cost per lead? When we're out there generating leads, what is the allowable that we can now maintain that 30% margins, okay? So how do we figure this out? We figure out what we're doing in the market today, where we're buying these leads, how we're buying these leads, and what the cost of media is, okay? So here's a little example of what we know so far. From earlier, we knew that we're getting paid $100 on a sale. Our CPA is $100. We know that we're making $3 on a revenue per lead from earlier, from that kitchen renovation company, right? And we know that we want to work on 30% margins. So the question is, what do we want to pay per lead, right? On the making per lead, we already know it's $3, right? Can we make more? We can, but it'll all be determined on the conversion rate, how many sales you generate, right? On the $3 RPL that we were talking about earlier, that was based on the 3% conversion. If we were able to convert customers by 5%, now our revenue per lead will be worth $5, right? So the formula here is we take the revenue per lead and then we multiply it times the margin goal to get what the net lead allowable is, right? So, and then we take the RPL, we subtract that from the net lead, and we're going to get our lead cost allowable. So let me show you that with numbers so you're not confused here. So, all right, we have the $3 revenue per lead. We're working at the 30% margin. So that means that we have 90 cents that we are going to make. That 30% will consist of 90 cents. We're going to make 90 cents for every lead that we generate. So by figuring out that number, we can just take the 90 cents, subtract it from the $3, and that tells us that our lead cost allowable, we can go out to the market and buy leads for, is $2.10. Okay? So now we know if we're out and we're buying traffic, if we want to pay somebody on a cost per lead, well, right now we feel pretty good about paying $2.10 if the metrics remain the same. Okay? So at this point here, we know what the RPL is of the $3. We know our goal is to make 30% margins. And to hit that goal, we know that the allowable for us to pay per lead is $2.10. So now that we have an idea of what we think we can actually pay for us to go out and arbitrage this kitchen renovation offer, is we got to go and we got to test. We got to go find new partners, right? You can go out and buy the media yourself if you know how to do that. I'm guessing most of you, if you started off today, you don't know how to do that, right? So we're going to focus on affiliates, which is you going out and finding other companies, other people that know how to drive traffic to your offer, okay? So in that instance, you don't really need to be an expert in understanding how to media buy. If you do, it's a plus, it's great. You can go out and you can do it yourself. But for now, we're assuming that you don't know anything about media buying. All you know is you called up a company and that company told you they would pay you $100 on every sale that you generate for them. And you're like, okay, well, great. And now you want to go out and you want to go and buy on a cost per lead basis. You're not going to go out and buy on a cost per sale. So we're going to test. So as we're doing this, there's some rules on when you're looking for certain affiliate partners that you're going to test with, okay? Number one is you want to get an idea of what your test budget is going to be, right? Because we know that we need to test. In the beginning, you may lose some money. You're not paying for the media, but you are paying for every time an affiliate generates a lead for you, right? That's not a payable action for you, but you're making that a payable event for your partner, right? You're breaking it down, you're taking on some risk. So you got to figure out how many leads are you willing to buy from them and then send to your advertiser to watch what happens to decide, is this something I want to continue with, right? And you also want to figure out what it is by partner. You want to understand what the overall budget is, and you want to then break out that overall budget into how many partners are you going to test, okay? And that comes down to what type of media are you looking to buy. For me, and what I mean by that, if you don't understand, by media is if somebody is going to generate a lead for you by sending an email, that's one type of media type, versus if someone's going to generate a lead for you that's going to click on a display ad on a website, or if somebody's going to be scrolling through Facebook and click on an ad in their news feed, right? Or if somebody's buying some keywords inside a search engine that's going to then generate a lead for you. Every one of those channels, each media type, is going to be valued very differently. There's different intent, there's different quality. So it's really important that whatever numbers you use to model, you want to look for that type of media, okay? You want to find partners that do very similar things to the data that you are basing your decisions off of, okay? So if you are doing it off of somebody that mailed your offer in email, you want to look for mailers. You don't want to go and buy social media. You don't want to go and buy clicks and search right now. You want to go and find mailers and test this out, right? Once you get more data, you can start to use those numbers and branch out slowly, right? To watch what those numbers back out to for you. But right now we know what a mailer will do for us and what the revenue per lead will be on or about and what we can pay on or about, right? So by doing that, we're now going to model and find new affiliate partners that are mailers, right? And what we need to do is try to understand, how is this mailer going to sell their media to us, right? So what we want to do is we want to project out what the possible CPL will be for that specific media partner. Now, if you can go and talk to a mailer and say, hey, run my offer to your database and I'll pay you $2.10 for every lead, well then, very easy, right? But there are a lot of partners that may not want to do that. There's a lot of mailers out there that don't want to get paid on a cost per lead. So we need to figure out how we can afford this media. We need to figure out, will this work for us? So let's say we have a mailer who has 20 million names in their database. Okay, so there's some scale there. It's exciting, right? Looks like they have the right audience for people, that own a home, been there for a while, and potentially want to renovate their kitchen, right? Makes sense. You want to understand who their audience is. You always want to understand who the audience is. That's how you find the people. That's how you get traffic, right? You're not creating traffic. Traffic's already there. You're just finding the people where they are on the internet. You need to understand who they are, right? So if we have a database of homeowners who've been there for 5-10 years, perhaps they want to renovate their kitchen, right? You can talk to your advertiser to get more details on the demographics, the geographics, any sort of behaviors or psychographics that you can now go and segment and really target those users, right? We talk about this in using my Survey Detective platform. Like, that's the whole goal, is to segment your data, to understand your users so that you can now send them relevant offers, right? You can speak their language. You can really help them find what they're looking for, even if they don't know what they're looking for, because you get them. That's what we do, right? So that's what we're doing here when we're talking to our partners as the mailer, trying to understand as much as we can, because we know what type of lead we need, what kind of audience we're looking for. So they have 20 million people in their database, and they want to sell their emails for $2 CPM. Okay, what does that mean? CPM, cost per thousand. Okay, when you buy media on a CPM, ultimately it's like an impression. The person didn't click, the person doesn't fill out a lead form, and the person doesn't buy anything. They're saying, if we send 1 million names to your database, we want to get paid $2 a thousand, right? So a few things that I'd want to know outside of the audience is, all right, well, when you do that, have you tested anything in renovation, kitchen renovation, anything with the homeowners, yes or no? Yeah, okay, great. Well, if you have, what is the average open rate that you see, and what is the average click rate that you see, right? I need these numbers, because without these numbers, it's very hard for me to model out if this is going to work or not, what I think the cost of this media will be to me on a cost per lead, right? Because right now I'm paying on a cost per thousand, right? I'm paying for just them to send the emails. I'm not getting the ability to pay them only when they fill out a lead form. So by doing that, I got to gather all my numbers and I got to figure this out. So again, we know $100 CPA, $3 revenue per lead. We're working on a 30% margin, but the cost of media right now is $2 a thousand. Okay, we know that there's a 10% open rate. We know that there's 5% click rate on average. So what we're going to do is we're going to run some numbers, right? So let's say that we want to test about $2,000. So we're going to mail to 1 million people in their database. They have 20 million. We'll mail to just a piece of that database and test it out. So if we take those million names without doing anything, all we're going to do is we're going to take and insert the 10% open rate, the 5% click rate. We're going to take the 3% sales conversion rate that we learned earlier in this testing phase, and we're going to apply the $100 CPA to that specific sales. So by doing that, if we send to 1 million and we get a 10% open rate, 100,000 people open the email. Okay? You can see it right here. Now, 5% of those people click, right? So of those 100,000, 5% click, that's 5,000 unique clicks. And now here's a number that's really, really important for you to understand that we didn't talk about yet, which is not the sales conversion rate, right? Because we're going to drive traffic to the lead form. We're not driving traffic to a form where they're going to go and buy the product. We're driving traffic to a lead form where we're going to pay to collect information, right? So in that scenario, we need to know what the conversion rate will be before we ever even think about selling something, right? So here I use 20% conversion rate just because I know that that's like an average on certain forms, right? So by taking that 20% of the 5,000 clicks, that gets us the 1,000 leads, right? So this number is based on how this varies is going to determine what's going to happen on the back end, right? But at the end of the day, those 1,000 leads, it doesn't really matter if we converted 20% or 40%. We're still paying $2 CPM, $2 for every 1,000 emails sent. And the cost of that is going to be $2,000. So we need to figure out what did we pay to acquire that lead. So if we paid $2,000 and we generated those 1,000 leads, right? We converted 20% of the 5,000 clicks. So we got 1,000 leads. That 2,000 now divided by the 1,000 equals $2 CPL. So we just generated 1,000 leads for $2 for each lead. Now, we know what's going to happen now, right? Those leads are going to go to the advertiser. The advertiser is going to do their thing. And then if everything happens the way we expect it to, if they convert the 3% on that sales conversion, we're going to be in business, right? Because remember we said $2.10, right? So the decision time here when we're evaluating this is, does this work? And we know to hit the 30% margins that, yeah, we could pay $2.10 a lead, right? And now we're getting leads for $2. So what happens here, right? We see that because the actual cost per lead for this mailer, based on the numbers they're telling us, is $2, well then our margin just went from 30% to 33%, right? See, that's the beauty of lead gen arbitrage, is if you can find media that converts really well versus what you're expecting it to convert at, that's where you can get into a place where your risk reward factor, you're taking risk on buying the leads, yet you might be able to make 50%, 70% if you find really good traffic, right? And from the publisher's perspective, the affiliate, they don't want to take any risk. They just want to get paid. They tell you what the cost of their media is. They say, here's what I want you to pay. You pay them that. And at that point, now because of the risk that you've taken to pay them no matter what, if you make more money than what you're looking to make from your goal perspective, then bravo. You deserve it, right? Because you took a lot of risk. If it doesn't work, you're going to get run over. You're going to lose all that money, right? So, I mean, that's what's really exciting about the lead gen arbitrage side. You can work on really, really huge margins when you make something work. So if we look at this, just to look at these numbers again, you get 1 million emails that are sent, 10% open rate. You get 100 opens, 5% of those people are clicking, so you get 5,000 clicks. 20% of those people are converting into a lead, so you get 1,000 leads. You spent the 2,000, right? On our sales conversion, you get 30 sales. At 30 sales times the $100 CPA, we know that we're making $3,000. At the $3,000, we just spent $2,000 to make $3,000. So we just made $1,000, right? Our net revenue per lead is $1. Okay, so let me try to put this in perspective for you, because this is just a test, right? The whole idea is that we test multiple partners, okay? And yeah, it worked. Now, those numbers may not sound very big, but when you find something that works, you scale it, okay? This is just the test to see if it works. If that worked, they have another 19 million in their database. So, wow. Even if you just replicate that and all these numbers stay the same, that one affiliate could generate $20,000 in profit for you by just mailing to that database. You could do it $1 million at a clip. You could do more if you want more volume, if the partner wants more volume, right? Maybe the conversion rates go from 3% to 4%. If that happens, well, guess what, guys? If that happens, if we went from 3% to 4% here, that means that we would get 40 sales. At 40 sales, we would make $4,000 at the $100 CPA. At $4,000, we would make $2,000 in net profit. And if we scaled that, and that held true for the 20 million, then we'd make $40,000 on that specific send to those 20 million people over a period of time, right? And keep this in mind. When you're mailing to these people, people make this mistake. If you mail to 1 million people, don't think you can't mail to them again, okay? People don't just see things and buy things the first time, all right? You got to get in front of their face. Look, 10% open rate. That means that 900,000 people didn't even open the email that you now still have the ability to market to. Now, maybe they're just not interested. Maybe they're not a good audience to want to continue to market to. Or maybe they just didn't look at their email that day, right? So the idea is that you want to just keep on doing it as long as it keeps backing out, you keep doing it. There's a lot of potential here, right? Only 5% actually clicked to see your offer. So of the 100,000 that opened the email, they saw the copy, the creative inside their email on their phone and their computer, but they never saw your landing page. They didn't click. 95,000 of those people never saw your page, right? So now, of the 1 million people that you mail to, so we put things in perspective here, 900,095 people have not seen your landing page of the million, right? You guys see that? And you're still profitable. You're still making money. That's the power of online marketing, of lead generation arbitrage. So you have a ton of potential with this partner, ton of potential, right? It's not just like mail a million, get to 20 and it's done. No. You can continue to mail. You might have to tweak the creative, right? You might have to take a different angle to how you position it to get that click, to get that person to open the email. That comes down to the from line, the subject line, the copy on the ad creative inside the email, right? To get an open, you need to focus on the from line and the subject line. To get a click, you got to focus on the ad creative inside the email. That's optimizing, right? And then to increase your conversion rate, you got to work on your lead form. That's all stuff that you control before the advertiser on the back end, your kitchen renovation company, ever touches this lead. So is it worth a test? Yeah, I think we go for it. I think it's worth it. A test, it makes sense, it's scalable. Now, like I said, you got to compare apples to apples. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. every single media buy has a value. Every one of them, right? It could be worth 0 if it's really bad traffic, but somebody that's getting an email, they're not expecting that email today. You're sending an email to them, hoping that they see it, you pique their interest, they open it, they see the ad creative, they click it, land on your page, right? If somebody was going to go into Bing and search for home renovation, they've initiated that search. They're the ones that are saying, I need to renovate my kitchen. I'm interested. Search engine is powerful because of the intent of the consumer. They're the ones triggering the ad to show up on their page. They're searching for a kitchen renovation, right? Now, that's a very different type of lead. The quality of that lead will be higher, should be higher. I don't know if it will be, but it should be, right? It should convert higher. It should be valued at a higher rate. Hence why earlier when I was explaining to you on how you have your affiliate payouts and your media buy payouts, the media buy payout, which would be buying on Google, that the value to pay for kitchen renovation, that keyword, is likely expensive, right? You cannot make it work with the affiliate payout that they're willing to pay you. The $100 CPA, they likely might be able to pay you $500 CPA on a lead coming from your Bing search engine buys, right? So once you start getting into bed with an advertiser, start generating leads, those leads start converting, there's a delta there where that $100 CPA, you may not get paid $500 on a sale, but you might be able to get paid $200 on the sale if it's working for them, right? So if we go back here and we look at it, all these metrics can remain the same, but if we have 30 sales at $200 per sale, that's $6,000 in revenue. It still costs you the same amount of money to generate that same lead, those same sales of $2,000. So now you're making $4,000 by just getting an increase in payout because you're showing them that you're driving good, high quality traffic. So you got to figure out what the value of that media is to you. And when you do, it gives you leverage. You're driving traffic to an advertiser. You're doing it on a lead basis where you're sending them leads. You're not charging them for leads. You're only charging them when a sale happens. There's not much risk for the advertiser. And if you're able to do it where you scale it, these guys who are paying out on a sale, it's hard to get scale from affiliates on a cost per sale. Most people don't want to go and market a cost per sale offer unless they know that it's going to convert because there's too much risk for them on the front end. These lead gen companies don't want to do that. They want to get paid by leads, right? If you're out there buying media, you want to get paid on the lead. You want to know when you're getting paid as quick as possible because you're in real time buying clicks, buying impressions, right? And if you have a media cost, but you don't know what the revenue that's coming in from that media buy is for you, it's very hard to operate. You can't. You'd have to lay out money and hope that you get it back. So most people don't do it. There are ways to do it, right? You got to take some risk. You got to buy some media. You got to wait and see what the conversion rates are. All those numbers are, right? Lead conversion rate, sales conversion rate, backing it out to what the cost of the media is versus what the revenue is that you're making on a revenue per lead basis, right? We're going over all that. So there's a lot of things that need to happen, but most people don't want to go through all this, right? It's a lot. You might feel like, holy cow, like crazy. Go over this video 25 times, right? Listen to the podcast 25 times. Take out a notebook. Start writing down each piece. Pause it after each step. Pause it. Write the numbers so that you understand every step that needs to be taken so that you can do this.